First, I would like you to give me your broad overview of India-China tensions and where the countries are after the so-called five-point agreement.
Yeah, okay. Well, from the Washington, actually, the India-China tension is being viewed. They're taking, there's, getting a lot of traction. They are looking at it. All the developments they are following up. What's happening, because India and China are two, giants of Asia. And then I would also think that United States, since particularly this administration, when they formed the Indo-Pacific strategy in 2018, so India is very much a part of that strategy. And therefore, they like to, perhaps with what China has been doing to the United States, to the world, with letting loose of this pandemic, and then many other things that China has been actually, indulging in. Normally, they say 3 C's, which are like cures, covert, and corruption. Through that, they try to, work in different countries, in different ways, even trying to change the people's, ideas, mentality, and like that. So United States has always been watching what China has been doing, and even through the Confucius Institute, so much advances in terms of how they like to change the perspective of the youth or young people here in the United States with regard to even the ideology. They think they like to present that China's, the way of governance is much better than the liberal democracy. So that sort of thing, that has been going on a while. And then with the pandemic, things have become worsened. And as part of the whole of this development, and also as I mentioned, the Indo-Pacific strategy, yes, the Washington has been closely sort of, to my opinion, looking at the developments that are taking place. And then couple of times, I think, Secretary of State Pompeo also mentioned about the tension, the border tension between China and India, and he even said that China has been bullying its neighboring countries as well. So yes, it is getting attraction, a lot of attention in the Washington, D.C.
Do these tensions reinforce yet again the old Tibetan perspective that India should have worked to keep Tibet as a sort of a buffer state in order for it to maintain the balance? I know it's overtaken by history now and it's redundant in that sense. But do you ever wonder what if India had agreed to make that into a buffer state?
Yes, I think, when I look at the whole development in recent past, and even now with what's happening, in the border between India and China, this definitely should have now come to the thoughts and the minds of the Indian public, because Tibet was, even is, it's very important for India's security. Earlier on, when I was in India also, so there has been a lot of sort of chanting of slogans about this kind of thing, saying the Tibetans, when they come out into the street, Tibet ka azadi, Bharat ka suraksha, So
Right.
that was very popular sort of slogan. People, always say, but then I don't know if it has gone really seriously into the mind of the, even the leadership,
Right.
let alone the public. Now, because the China is already there in the border, and not only once, twice, they are there, several times. Now people have started to really understand what we've been saying, in several years in the past, that it is really the crux of the problem there.
Right.
So in order to have a lasting sort of solution, it still needs to address the Tibet issue, between China and India. So otherwise, you have China as a border. It is just like having a volcano nearby you. It can burst anytime, very unreliable. You can never trust, So I think this is how I think.
Okay. Do you think India's approach to Tibet might change now in light of the border tensions? Do you think India can become a little more aggressive when it comes to the question of the existential problems that Tibetan and Tibet as a cultural entity are facing?
Sure, yes. First of all, we always are really genuinely grateful to India and the people of India, government and the government people of India for all the assistance that they have, provided to His Holiness Dalai Lama, to the Tibetan refugees. They have been living there in India. However, now to your question, we would definitely like to see that India's support to not limit to the humanitarian, educational, social sort of thing, and but a little bit more aggressive on the political front as well, So, and I think as of now, when we see the media, and our president was on the media for several days, and there was so much interest in India to know more about Tibet issue, all these things. So probably it will take maybe, it's not easy to just frame the policy right away, but definitely with this kind of awareness and understanding, India, I look for some opportunities, better opportunities to gradually change India's stand on Tibet. Right.
Are you in a position to delve a little bit on what your definition of aggressive approach could be? What is it that India can do what comes across as an aggressive move on Tibet?
Yes. Well, there are a few things that I personally think. Number one, one thing, India has never talked about Tibet when even the Prime Minister of India meeting with the President of China. So it's a problem. So India should address that in support of what our stand is. It's a middle way approach. And then secondly, there's a Tibetan administration in India. We call it Central Tibetan Administration, but it is basically, we are running like a de facto sort of government in exile. So, this could be given some kind of, credibility in terms of, political significance. Making some pronouncements, it might be not that easy right away. And then even His Holiness Dalai Lama, there are moves to present Bharat Ratna to His Holiness. Actually, His Holiness has been awarded all these prestigious prizes all over the world, from the Nobel Peace Prize to the Templeton, and all that, you name it. But Bharat Ratna has not been actually awarded to His Holiness. And His Holiness always says that he is a son of India. And, so this could be one way of, supporting Tibetan issue. And then, honestly, Prime Minister Modi can also meet with His Holiness in a more public way, in an open way, So, yeah, and then personally, this is personal opinion. So, I think when BJP came to power, I think during the first ceremony, the consecration of the Prime Minister Modi ji, our president, Dr. Sangya, was invited to the ceremony. But then, it was not done the second time when he was re-elected. So, there's a kind of shifting thing, which is, possibly not that much necessary,
Right.
So, some of these things they can always show here and there. So at least the China also knows that, okay, this is an issue the India considers very important as well, right? So
Right.
this is what I think.
No, these are very interesting and very specific suggestions. I haven't heard them being made together by anyone. As you might know, I've interacted with the entire Tibetan administration over a period of over 25 years now. I don't think even His Holiness has been this candid about what India can do. I'm especially struck by your suggestion that the Indian government could perhaps think in terms of giving a little more legitimacy to the government in exile. That's a rather strong suggestion. I hope it happens at some point. How do you think the Trump administration has dealt with China when it comes to the issue of Tibet?
Oh, well, there's a general feeling that President Trump has not spoken about Tibet, but I always take exception to this. I always say that the Trump administration, unlike any other administration, Tibet enjoys bipartisan support in the United States. And then this administration has been very vocal, except that President didn't say about it, but otherwise Vice President, then the Secretary of State, then the Ambassador Brownback, who's head of the International Religious Freedom. So all of them, and then through the even funding assistance, then whenever there are some occasions like Panchen Lama's, the captivity, those occasions we always try to commemorate, and we get the messages from the State Department. They have always been very open and very supportive. So I don't see their support for Tibet kind of going down anywhere. So it has actually been, even in terms of funding, they increased from $6 million to $9 million for the Tibetan, exile. So yes, I would say that they've been very kind, very supportive.
It's for the first time that one publicly noticed that a soldier belonging to the special force who died along the Ladakh border. And India has, in fact, one of the senior operatives of the BJP showed up for the funeral. Do you think that could mark a turning point? Do you think China may be alarmed by the fact that, of course, they've known about the special force for a long time, but it's perhaps for the first time that there is very public recognition of that force now. How do you look at that particular development?
Yeah, I think this has, achieved a kind of sort of great attention in the Tibet world. That Ram Madhavji, he visited Ladakh, so that's actually sends a great message that the Tibetan people's involvement in safeguarding the border of India, all these kind of things are remembered. So yes, this will send a strong message to China, and has really inspired a lot of Tibetans, and even I think won the heart of millions of Indians, because when we've been living in India for the last 60 years, we are also ready to do whatever is necessary for the safety and the security of the country you are living, right? Who's giving you so much help and shelter. So yes, I think in all ways this has been very helpful development, very positive development, and particularly Ram Madhavji's visiting up there, and then also making that kind of ceremony publicly was a great sort of sign and development for the Tibetan people.
In my many interactions with the Dalai Lama, he has frequently expressed very unbridled optimism that in his lifetime, he would return to Lhasa. Now, that might be a great optimist talking, and I'm sure even he knows, being a practical Buddhist, that it's easier said than done. But what is your personal take on, do you think that can happen in his lifetime?
Well, it looks a little difficult from the prevalent situation. But then we're talking about the politics. Right now, in this pandemic, nobody has thought about this. And this has changed the whole world,
Right,
even whole order, right?
right.
So, it's very difficult to predict. But I believe, I have a full faith in His Holiness kind of prediction. Even recently, I think last fall, when Ambassador Brownback from State Department visited Dharamsala, His Holiness told him that he will outlive the Communist Party, So, so, and then, he is not a politician, doesn't throw rhetoric,
Right.
So, this is, well, you as an Indian and I as a Tibetan, we believe in a lot of other things as well, right?
True,
So I
true.
trust His Holiness, about what might happen. But as of now, if you look around, it seems a little difficult, yeah.
Yeah. What, according to you, is the most reasonable, workable solution of Tibet now?
Manji, I think, the Tibetan administration's position, or His Holiness Dalai Lama's position on bringing a solution, is very reasonable, that's a middle way. And for both China and the Tibet, that's something very reasonable. And I think, there cannot be a better sort of option to address this problem. And from the Tibetan side, we have gone all the way down, given all the compromises, and even to the extent of being a part of China.
Right.
And then for the Chinese or the CCP, their major concern is about, the overall ruling of the territories, which is still there. So, I think this is our proposed, solution, and this, I personally think also is the best possible solution in this case.
Right. You know, what I find particularly amusing is that China definitely wants a Dalai Lama, but they don't want this Dalai Lama. They basically
Oh,
want, they just want a figure that they can control, because they recognize the power of a figure like the Dalai Lama. But they keep
yes,
calling this Dalai Lama a wolf and all kinds of other names, which I'm always amused by. So
yes.
is His Holiness. So how do you deal with an entity like that?
Yeah, this is absolutely, I agree with you. It's absolutely true. On the one hand, the Tibet is a sword in the eyes of China, and they also wanted to get this address. So they are even perhaps looking for opportunities to, in the heart of heart, they really wanted to see this is taken care of. And then only possible solution that at the moment is His Holiness Dalai Lama, who is the key to the solution. Then they do not like His Holiness to come even visit China. He has even mentioned that he like to visit China even for pilgrimage. That is also not even considered. So maybe they are looking at a lot of other things. If His Holiness visit to even Tibet or China, there were so many people who are following His Holiness,
Right.
who believe that His Holiness can be the better leader than the Xi Jinping or whatever they have at the moment. So, I think there's a feeling of this is my assumption. So it's a feeling of scare, kind of, they're frightened that something might happen if His Holiness let in to even visit Tibet, or even, So they also, they did a sort of feeler sometime back. There was they separated the rumor that His Holiness is visiting, one of the important Buddhist pilgrimage in China. And, people, thousands, they walked several days to that particular, or the border, or the, road which leads to that particular place, to just get a glimpse of His Holiness. They just tried to, they sent a feeler and they found it. So I guess from there, they must be really worried. It's about uncertainty that what might happen to them or their regime if His Holiness is, invited or welcome. So I guess all of these things, it looks kind of paradoxical, right? And then on the, the other thing is very clear that they wanted to grab the 15th Dalai Lama. So because they know that through that, they wanted to capture control the Tibetan Buddhism.
Right.
And Tibetan Buddhist world is not only limited to Tibet, even in China, and then in all these East Asian countries. Now there are a lot even in the, other countries, Europe, America as well.
Right.
So they understand the power of this figure, right?
Right.
And then it is actually, they're doing with other religion as well. Like look at the Christians, they got the Pope to accept their nomination. So they would send the nomination to the Pope. I guess that's the thing. Our Pope nominates and then they appoint. So, they actually wanted to say that we are the supreme authority in as far as China is concerned, right, even in religious matter. Right. So yeah, those are issues.
Just last couple of questions. One is, of course, it's more a comment than a question. What appears to me is that they like Buddhism as long as it is free of Tenzin Gyatso. That's what their view is.
Yeah, not only that, Mayan, because see, in now even reincarnation, they're controlling all of that. Now in Tibet, they're even reincarnation process. They have now there are more than 1,000 reincarnated lamas in Tibet, and they are all supposed to get their approval. So it's all about the question of the control and the power. So just wanted to say that everything in China, you live for the CCP. They say the people live for CCP, not the CCP as a government. Live depends on the people. So that's the whole idea. And I think more than that, His Holiness Dalai Lama. Of course, this is a great, point, but I think they really wanted to control the Buddhism as such.
Right. And finally, tell me a little bit about you. When did you arrive in India? When did you come as a young boy, young man?
Yes. Yes. I came to India actually through Nepal in 1960. So I was then as 7 years old, and then I started in school, Tibetan school, run by the government of India in Shimla.
Right.
And after that, I went to college in Chandigarh.
Uh-huh.
I finished my graduation there, and then started to work for Tibetan administration in Dharamsala as a member of parliament.
Okay.
First. Later on in the administration, so the education, home, and later in the Tibetan Institute of Performing Arts.
Right.
And then again back to so this kind of thing I've been doing. And then in 2000 I immigrated to the United States.
Okay.
And 2012, then when this President Sikyong, president of CTA, he asked me if I could come and work in Dharamsala. Then I went back.
Okay.
I left all my family here, went back to India to serve. I was there for 6 years. I served as an education secretary and later on as a minister. Mm-hmm. And then in the middle of second term, that is 2000, end of around 3 years as a representative of His Holiness and the CTA to North America.
Right. Before I let you go, any interesting memory as a 7-year-old boy coming from Tibet via Nepal to India. What kind of memories do you have?
Well, those are all actually, the few memories that I have are very sad memories, or this memories of kind of, of fear and frightened sort of, because I remember those even vividly, even right now, that we run or escape during daytime, no, in nighttime, and during daytime, parents hide somewhere under the caves or bushes or wherever they could find themselves. And then we are kids, so me and my younger sibling, so we go to play out, and they always say, "Oh, you come out, come back. If you are out in the, out in the open, the devils will come and kill you or eat you up, something like that." So that's a kind of frightening every time they've been telling us when we go out. This is something I remember. And one time when we were walking, my dad, he passed away. He was also in SFF. So he passed, he kind of he bumped over one, that nighttime we didn't see it, but then later on we found out it was a corpse, it's a dead body of a fellow Tibetan who was trying to escape, but then, got killed on the road. So in the nighttime we didn't know. He almost fell off. So, one or two cases like that I remember now.
Now, I want to thank you for your time. You've been very generous. You were quick to respond. I appreciate that. And I'll keep in touch on a regular basis if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sure. We'll definitely keep in touch. I have quite a few Indian friends, working in colleges as a professor and doctors.
Right.
So yes, we'll definitely keep in touch. And then one thing before I go, now I try to think about maybe about your first question. Perhaps you're asking my thoughts about, India and
I let that go. Yeah, that's true. It was more your view, but I thought you may not want to share it directly, but that's okay. If you do want to, I'm very happy to hear it.
Okay. So yeah, well, actually, I thought you wanted to know how the United States was reacting or looking at things.
No, I sense that I was asking more your perception of what's going on.
Okay. Watching from here, although there's a tension at the border, but there has been so much awareness about Tibet in the Indian public that we have not been able to do probably last 50, 60 years, which, now this incident has, made it clear, made it known. And I was talking to our president also, well, and he was also doing a great job in trying to explain the Tibet situation and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So those are very positive development for the Tibetan people from the Tibetan perspective. And also from India also, it gave them a realization that you cannot trust China,
Absolutely.
So we always say that if you want to know China, you must understand Tibet,
Exactly.
So we have lived through that, through their tactics, through their, mental makeup. So they cannot be trusted. And I think now it has become so much open, even for the Indian leadership and the Indian public, that you cannot trust China. You cannot at all trust China. So it was good from that perspective.